All right, Shalom. I'd like to start up by saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harakak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and double honors to the elder apostles of Lions Den Camp as well, the Herawan Ban Yasha Allah. All right, salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, the sincerity, and truth, and peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Chanak Sa'an Ban Yasha Allah from the Lions of the Yasha Allah Camp. This is another Lions Den News and Prophecy. All right, and here it goes. It says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in their mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, because they are faithful and true. All right. You speak these prophecies day in and day out, constantly. I was listening to Apostle um Tahar earlier today. He was speaking on, how we are in Jacob's trouble right now. It's gonna get worse. And we've been speaking about these things before, and to the point where we sound like broken records. You know, we sound like broken records constantly, repeating the same things over and over and over and over again until they come to pass. And according to the word in the will of Yahweh Shem Shai, they will come to pass. See that? All right, so this article right here says Russia slams U.S. strike threats against interference in Iran. All right, so now you already had the situation in Venezuela that transpired, right? Which is the typical thing that America does, um, um, regime changing, unaliving individuals, like how they did Gaddafi, like how they did um, Saddam Hussein. It's all it's all for an agenda. They have an agenda. They claim it's for one thing, but really, initially, they paint a narrative to make it seem like it's one way, but really, it's all for total control over resources. 10 times out of 10, you know. And but Yahweh Shimon Shai knows it, and he's setting them up for failure. You see that? He's setting them up for failure. So you know, that's this is what it is. At this point, you know, Yahweh Shimon Shai is exposing the wickedness of this place, and in the midst of it, stripping it. Let's get that real quick. Um, hold on, hold on 1 second. Let's go to Isaiah 47 real quick, just to see what the Lord is doing to this place. Because remember, what is the talk of this week? That America is officially a third world country. Or country, company would be correct because it's really not a country at all. It's an organization, it's a corporation. You know, it's Isaiah 47:1. It says, Come sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For there shall, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. See that? Take the millstones and grind the mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the legs, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. See that? Pass over the rivers, man. It says, Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. So before Yahweh Shimon Shai shows up, before Yahweh sends Yahweh Shai down here to bring judgment on this place, he's exposing this place of the wickedness that is all everything that it's about. Everybody gonna see the skirt being lifted up. Everybody gonna see this, this whore be put to shame. See that? So so and the Lord said he ain't gonna meet him as a man, he gonna meet him as a power. He's coming in his father's glory, his glory, and then the glory of the holy angels. That's how Yahushua is coming. He's not coming to sit down and negotiate peace talks at the negotiation table. No, you know those talks come from the prophets out there on the highways and byways. If they had any intentions on healing Babylon or any what I'm saying, making right all the wrongs, they would listen to the prophets and take heed to the prophet what the prophets were saying and move differently. But they can't because the Lord didn't set them up to be able to do that. This place is full of wickedness, and let's say it the Lord, that's just it. He has a judgment for this place, man. So now, um, Russia, who is a direct ally economically and militarily with Iran, has gave a stiff, harsh warning to the United States about their involvement with what's going on with the protests in Iran, because Trump has allegedly been making a lot of threats about what he's going to do to Iran because of what's going on, you know. But you have the same thing going on here in America. There were some possible hard of the video. There were some protesters protesting. They weren't even really being loud. They were sitting around and talking. They wasn't even like saying no, hell no, we won't go. They wasn't none of that. But all of a sudden they started to shoot tear gas at the individuals. And it was old. Oh, the crazy part about it, it was an old white woman that was interviewed too. And she was like, "We were just standing there, da 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 da." And at the end of her statement, she said, "This is not America. This is something totally different than that." Because here's the thing: it's okay when these things happen in our neighborhood or when these things happen to us. But Esau feels like it shouldn't happen to them or it can't happen to them. That's why she was so astonished. Because had she been watching the news, and if there was a protest against police brutality against our people, and that situation would have happened, it would have been a different. But the fact that it happened to them, right? There's an issue. But the Lord's gonna bring pressure on everybody. The only ones that are gonna be able to make it through are the elect. See that? So while Yahweh Shimei Shai is setting up the okidoke, setting up the trap for the devil, he's also setting up salvation for the elect. So we want to see these things happening in the earth. We rejoice to see these things happening in the earth because we know our salvation is nearer than one once believed. It says Russia on Tuesday condemned what is described as subversive external interference in Iran's internal politics, and said U.S. threats of new military strikes against the country were categorically unacceptable. Mm. It says those who plan to use externally inspired unrest as a pretext for repeating the aggression against Iran committed in June 2025 must be aware of the disastrous consequences of such actions for the situation in the Middle East and global international security. The Russian Foreign Ministry said in a statement, they ain't bullshitting. You better leave Iran alone, is what they're saying. It's basically what they're saying. They kind of voice the same kind of statement dealing with Venezuela. The U.S. ain't got too many times to be running up in some shit, thinking they finna regulate something. We're gonna be met with the bear, and that bear is Russia. And it's all being set up by Yahweh by Shimei Awashar, man. You know, it says this is let's go to it. I ain't gonna make this long. I'm gonna go ahead and just um Isaiah 13 and 17. It says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." Right there, so there's no type of negotiations, right? That it don't matter what America's doing or how they try to finagle their way or persuade anybody to that what they're doing is of righteous cause. Ain't nobody in Russia ain't trying to hear none of that. You can see that clearly in this statement right here on this article. You know, so there's nothing that the United States is going to be able to do to get Putin them off their ass. Ain't nothing, right? This is all set up by Yahweh Shimon Shah to bring forth his judgment on the earth. That go you see that's spoken of in what Revelation chapter 20. Satan shall be loosed out of his prison for a little season to bring forth the war between Gog and Magog, who is as the sand of the sea. See that? So it's obvious to it's obvious to the wise what's going on here. That's why we prophesy about these things, you know. And as we prophesy, these things come to pass after we say those things, because it's given unto us by the Spirit of Yahweh by Shema Shai. So, with that being said, we all know the outcome of this place. But the thing about it is, this place don't know the outcome of this place. They can't see it because the Lord has blinded the minds of them, so they won't be able to understand what his plans are from the beginning to the end. All right. So it's so crazy because Trump can't even see, you know what I'm saying, how they have a target on, you know what I'm saying, U.S. has a target on their back. You know, there's another lesson that I got to do. That it was like a little video clipping that said the top 5 countries that could possibly have success in World War III against the United States. See that? Oh shoot! It says Iran is no longer killing, unaliving anti. That's funny. That's funny. Hold on, let me see what this says real quick. Let me see what this says real quick. It says Trump announces Iran is no longer unaliving anti-government protesters. Oh, so it says Trump announced that Iran has stopped unaliving anti-government protesters after he threatened to take action if the unalivings continue. We've been told that the unalivings in Iran is stopped and there's no plan for execution, Trump told reporter in the Oval Office. Trump's announcement came after days of escalating tensions between the United States and Iran. That's kind of cool. That's kind of coincidental that as soon as Russia stepped up and said something, then Trump starts copping deuces. So, oh, they ain't doing it no more, so we're gonna step down. Right. Because Iranian leaders have accused the United States and Israel of fomenting the demonstrations which began in late December over soaring prices and abrupt collapse of Iran's national currency. But Trump threatened to intervene, drawing a definite defiant response from the Iranian regime top leaders and further retracting up tensions between the United States and the Middle Eastern country. It says Iranians began protesting in December as their currency, the real, suddenly crashed with inflation surpassing 40%. The economic pressure re- reignited, so pressure reignited many long-lasting grievances with the Islamic Republic's clerical establishment, making the most expansive civil unrest in the country several years. It says an estimated 2,000 to 3,000 people have been unalived in nationwide protests in Iran. A senior U.S. official told USA Today. I don't think who knows what's going on over there, but there's always some stuff in the mix for to give uh, the United States an excuse to go meddle in somebody else's affairs. But Russia and Putin said the buck stops here. I'm curious of what Trump had to say about this. Hold on. There we go. Okay, that's something else. That's something else. We're not gonna go into that. But you know, let's go back to Isaiah. So Isaiah 13 and 17 says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children." Because who is the U.S. sparing? Nobody. They ain't sparing nobody, bro. They ain't sparing nobody over here, and they damn sure ain't sparing nobody over there. You know. So everything, all the atrocities that this place has done over the years, all is gonna fall back onto them. Let's get that real quick. This is Isaiah 14 and 9. It says, "Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chieftains of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones the kings of the nations." See that? And crazy part about it is, yeah, I'm gonna do another video either later on tonight or early tomorrow morning, whenever the spirit leads me to do it. But it says 5 countries that would have a chance if they will go to war with the United States, and 4 out of those 5 are direct enemies. Um, are direct enemies of the United States of America, man. All right, just want to touch on that a little bit. Lord, what is lesson edifying and certain purpose for the hope of elect the ones truly believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. With that, I'd like to say, call Halayim La Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, by Shem Harakak Wadash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone, and double honors to the elder apostles of the Lions in the camp as well. I heard one by Yasharallah. Salutations to the Arkin that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth, and peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.